Well, the rebar sets quite nicely, and I put up some cardboard just to protect the floor in here, which is, I mean, it's just a concrete floor, but it's quite nice and smooth and everything, so I don't want to make a mess of it. So yeah, we're going to look into pouring first cement in here, concrete, sorry. We'll see if the weather cooperates. It's a dark one. Not so sure that's going to happen, but I'm going to give it a try. Not my favorite parts. No, I don't have a cement mixer. All right, let's do this thing then. Let's get that in there. Well, I skipped the part where it went from the wheelbarrow into the mold, because seriously, it's not that exciting. So what I've done is that I've obviously put this in here. I've done, I'm not sure what it's called, but you effectively pat it until it gets all runny and to a completely different viscosity, and that allows it to settle a bit. I don't know the right terminology for things. I just know that this is kind of what works, because that makes it really fill in all the kind of like the air leaves, and it just fills all crevices and so on, so it becomes a bit more solid. So that's effectively what I've done. So it's now all kind of like gooey, which is a good sign. And I don't want the surface to be very smooth, because there's going to be a second pour, third pour, fourth pour on top of this. So I want that to kind of use this uneven surface to bind a bit better. I mean, I've still got the rebars here, but still, every little helps. So I'm going to let this be for a day or two. We'll see what the weather decides. I can do most of this obviously inside, but I need to mix the cement outdoors, so I'm a bit limited and a bit dependent on the weather. So we'll see how quick it progresses. The weather's been a bit unkind, but I had a second pouring, so I'm now up to here and adding the last bit. And I just want to make sure that there's no leak, so I'm just you know, making sure that these are firmly attached. Then it's a matter of pouring all the way up here, and that will be a bit of a challenge. Right, so that's the third pour, so roughly up to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm not sure what it's called. I don't think it's called tampering, but that's what I do with coffee, and I'm doing the same thing here. So it just, I hit it until it gets all gooey, and then it fills in everywhere. So yeah, I think this is ready for the final pour tomorrow, which is going to be a really exciting one, because that's effectively what we're going to make sure that it's pointing in the right direction and stuff. So that'll be interesting. Alright, so I'm not sure if you can see that. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's where we're at now. So that the remaining part here is going to be for the top flange to be placed in the right direction, which is hidden beneath the protection. I'm going to unearth and outline. And I cleared up the floor. Of course, today will be the day when I make sure that once I put the flange on, it's going to be pointing in the right direction. So firstly, I just want to make sure I've got enough clearance. So I was thinking about getting the mount head out just to double check. So yeah. Well, so as you can see, you can't even close the roof when it's like this, but normally it would be on its side. So it would actually clear the roof bit, but so where I had it before where it worked fine was 1200 millimeters, and that's actually here, and it's currently with this board and so on 127. So I'm thinking, to be entirely comfortable, I'm going to measure 120 around here and cut it there. I don't want to risk that I might have to heighten the roof here, because I don't actually know entirely sure I'm going to do that. So yeah, I'll cut this down to 120 to at least know that I'm working on where I was. Old Swedish invention, tumstock. Translating that would just be silly. I'm not going to try, but it makes it a bit easier to make sure that I get the exact measurements around. Very. So, just going to go around and do that. So it's been filed down, so now it's a matter of figuring out how long these rods need to be when I put this on. Yeah, so I'll be measuring and cutting that up next. Right, so cut them up now, and I know what you're saying. They're too short, they're too thin. Yeah, it's possible. The flange was designed for M8, so I'm using M8. I looked at having thicker rods and then having a coupler nut that was actually translating from M12 to M8. It was just really difficult to find, and to be honest, whether these are thick or thin when they're in the cement doesn't really matter that much, taking into account it's not 2 or 3 tons we're talking about. And when this goes down, it goes with alongside the existing rebars already. So it's not like this is going to make the top fall off or break off, because it's already reinforced all the way down through into the ground, and it's overlapping with the rebars. So I think for 120 kilos, I think we're pretty okay. So this is my intended little adjustment mechanism. So I've got the flange and I connect it to M8 bolts and a little ball that goes across that I then support, and then underneath here, let's see, I use some washers that I have to allow me to make sure that it's as straight as possible, and that goes in this direction as well, so I can just tilt the sides if need be. And yeah, the big thing is that this one here, pole, that needs to follow that. So the closer that line is, the better. So I'm going to move it a bit to the side, and I'm going to find a way to kind of project it upwards, so I have it up here, so I can kind of like just align with it and make sure that I'm as close as possible to it. Meanwhile, in the workshop, I'm doing a frame that is going to allow me to put it on the floor, and it's 120 centimeters tall, so it will align perfectly with the top of the pier, and it will allow me to align the flange with the line on the floor. So this is effectively just a way to get that line on the floor up level with the flange. All right, so what is this? Well, this is my polar alignment projection device that I put in place. So with this one here, as long as it's completely level and everything, which is to check, I'm going to be able to see exactly how I need to align this thing. And what I'm going to do is I've looked everywhere for good ways of doing it. This is the top of a fishing rod, and that seems to be the best aiming device I managed to find. Yep, so that's the theory, and after a break for lunch, we'll see if it works.